General Robert E. Lee once said, "A land without memories is a people without freedom." We would go a step further and say that a people without memories is a people who doesn't know who they are today. Since the cannons cooled at Appomattox, we of the South have been taught to despise our past. The Yankee set out on a mission of peace with the goal of conquest to reshape the Southerner in his image, to change our vocabulary, enlighten us with their morality, and force our children to remember a history that is not their own.
Welcome to Charlie Horse Radio, a conversational podcast on Southern history and culture, which has for its goal restoring the memory and freedom of this land. We are Jason and John, two Orthodox Christians with a love for the South. If you enjoy this show and would like to support, please consider subscribing on Substack for free or for $5 a month or $50 a year.
Well, you're gonna pull those pistols and whistle Dixie. If I get to liking someone, they ain't around long.
I notice when you get to disliking someone, they ain't around for long either.
Pretty sure we have time to bury them, fellas.
Hell with them fellas. Buzzards gotta eat, same as worms.
That the human being is nothing without education may be taken as an axiom. But what is education, or rather, what is the purpose of education? It is to bring out something that is already potentially existent in the human being. Thus, we may be educated simply by using our own natural faculties of observation, comparison, and application to the utmost, and many great men in the course of the world's history have been thus educated. Or we may go through school after school and college after college and emerge more of a fool than the meanest farm laborer, who knows with precision from the lore handed down from his fathers when it is likely to rain, when to sow and reap, and what to give his cattle when they are ailing. All that education can do in any case is to teach us to make good use of what we are. If we are nothing to begin with, no amount of education can do us any good. End quote. That is the first paragraph of the fourth essay in the book, I'll Take My Stand, called Education Past and Present by John Gould Fletcher. I'm Jason, and I'm here with John. What's up, John?
Howdy, y'all.
And coming on as guest today to talk about this essay, we have Florida man himself, the king of the retards, high school debate coach extraordinaire, Phisto Sobanii, coming to us from an undisclosed location in the Florida swamps. How's it going, Phisto?
Hear me and tremble, retards. No. Hi, guys. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Life is good. Just got back from a little vacation with the wife. We took a few days up in Orlando. Enjoyed the favela brought to us by the Disney Corporation. But no, all jokes aside, it was very lovely to get away for a few days. And,
awesome.
Yeah, just, hang out, and now it's back home, and yeah, here I am.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
You're still on summer break, aren't you, Phisto?
Yeah. Still on summer break. Good old teachers are going to be going back to work soon, and then we'll have students before we know it, and off to the races, baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Phisto, the reason we wanted to have you in particular on for this particular essay is because, of course, you are an actual teacher.
Yes, correct.
And
despite
so
my
we
best
thought
efforts.
So we thought you'd have some interesting stuff to add for this. By the way, we're starting late today for the listeners, and it's my fault because I'm sinful and retarded. So apologies for that. But we're here now, so welcome. Let's talk a little bit about your experience first, I guess. Like your experience with education and like before we get into the essay,
Yeah, sure.
tell us what kind of like what your mindset is that separates you from maybe the typical high school teacher in America today.
That's a great question. Yeah, for those that don't know me, so Sobanii is not just an asshole on the internet that says things to idiots. I'm actually a high school teacher, and I have been a high school teacher for 4 years. I am what is known as a career changer. So here's what's interesting about me. The vast, or at least career-wise, the vast majority of my experience is in auto insurance, of all things. So I went to college at a little place called Capital University in Columbus, Ohio. There, I got my history degree, and then I needed to work. So I went out and I got a job. My very first job was with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which is car rental. The vast majority of what they do is, auto accidents and blah, blah, blah. After Enterprise, I ended up at Progressive selling insurance. Then I eventually went into claims. Then I eventually went into training. My last job before the high school thing was I was teaching. I actually got to spend several months in Poland, of all places, teaching Polish people how to do American style insurance. Yeah, so like it's kind of weird, but I have a wide experience in that regard. The only thing I haven't done is actually fix a car. So like body shops, all that stuff. I ran a body shop for a while. I've torn down your car. I've pushed the hunk of junk into the stall, but I've not actually fixed it. That's the only thing
I thought you were going to say the lake.
Yeah, no. Well, anyway, yeah. So, so all that said, probably what differentiates me from your typical teacher is I have a huge amount of real life experience doing things all over the world, and doing things all over the country. And, the best thing I learned at that job was how to deliver bad news. Like when I was doing claims, my God, so funny. Just like, yes, the accident is your fault. No, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm paying that shit. Deal with it. Like it's just the best. It's just the best.
Yeah.
So I have all of that. And then also I missed all the fake and gay shit. Like I wasn't there for COVID. I don't have an education degree. Like I'm having to take some classes and I'm having to do some things, and like I'm getting some out of it, but like, I'm freaking mid 40s. I've done things that you guys wouldn't believe, and then I'm sitting here in these classes with like doughy-eyed 20-year-old boys who just have no fucking idea. It's just it's just funny. It's fun. So that's probably it. And I guess maybe the last thing, and then I'll finally shut up. The last thing is I do actually legitimately fucking love history. I adore the topic. I adore everything. And it's not just like, dates and facts and names. No, it's the whole epic struggle of history. Like there isn't any of it that I can't get into.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've talked about this before, but I think like the thing that really made me fall in love with history was realizing that it's storytelling.
Yes.
And not just
100%.
Memorizing lists of dates.
Yes, exactly. One of the best things when I was in college, I was really heavily influenced by my Russian history professor. And that's one of the things he said. The only thing I need you guys to remember is the day Stalin died, because fuck that guy. That's basically, he's like, all the rest, he's like, I really don't care. It really doesn't matter. That's not the point.
So
now, sorry, I had one question for Phisto about this.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, I believe that you're a social studies teacher, correct?
Yes, correct. Technically speaking, that's what I do.
Okay. So I was homeschooled my whole life.
Yeah.
So what does the curriculum for like high school social studies look like?
Generally speaking, you're going to take some kind of like, so I can only really speak to like high school. Middle school and elementary school, it's probably crap. So I'm not even going to comment on that much, simply based on the quality of student that I get. It's a complete crapshoot. Like some of them are brilliant and some of them are like, what's a map? You know, it's fine. It's fine. God love them all. But in Florida, generally speaking, most schools, I bet, are probably going to be similar to us. So you're going to have like an intro to social studies kind of thing.
Okay.
To begin with. So like, for example, at my school, I've done American government classes. I've done debate classes. I've also done something called world cultural geography, which is just like, it's just like intro to social studies. That's all it is.
Okay.
Then eventually you'll have to take world history, which is your boilerplate, you know, start with ancient Greece, go all the way through the end of Western Rome, through the Enlightenment, through the Dark Ages, you know, all that stuff. Just your very boilerplate world history course.
Okay.
I've gotten to do AP World History, which is pretty cool, but that really depends on how many students sign up for it. So that's kind of a crapshoot. But the big thing, the penultimate event is U.S. history, which I think most students take either as juniors or seniors. And then it ends with a big end of course exam, and you have to pass it to graduate.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you about before we really get into the essay was, do you want to take like a couple minutes and talk about your top secret project that you've been on lately?
Yes, the top secret project. This is
because the reason I bring this up is I think it actually does relate to education, and I'll try to tie it together. So go ahead.
Yeah. So with the help of Jason, I have picked up the hobby of weightlifting. So it's Operation Get Shredded, Operation Get Fisted. No, that's not it. So yeah. So how long have you been doing it, Jason? It's probably like a month and a half now.
A couple months, something like that.
Yeah. I forget the guy's name, so I know you'll tell me, but we're basing it off of Starting Strength.
Yeah, Mark Ripito.
Yeah, Mark Ripito. This has been very interesting to me, just like personally. I'll say that, you know, I'm in my mid-40s. I've never weightlifted in my life. I've never been one really for physical fitness, and I realize that I'm at the age where it's either I need to shit or fall off the pot and die.
Yeah. Or maybe you won't be able to shit anymore because you won't be able to sit on the pot.
Yeah, I'll just be shitting in a bag at that point, and I really don't want to do that. No, it's just it was just time to get my act together. So I am. One of my great personal faults is I always learn the hard way. So in pure Phisto form, I'm learning the hard way. And it's been great. It's been fantastic. I look forward to working out. I look forward to doing it. I look forward to learning. Like, I'm starting from zero, learning something brand new. And it's so rewarding. It's so great. Guys, like, if there's anybody out there who's like still wondering about whether they need to like be lifting weights, yes, you need to lift. Like, you need to lift, bro. You need to go to the gym. You need to have the iron not lie to you. You need to put music in your head and just contemplate existence and move iron around. And just, yeah, it's fantastic. It's absolutely a temple.
Yeah, I will say, I will say, having done this for like 15 plus years at this point, that there is no feeling like being at the bottom of a max effort squat.
Yeah.
And like, because like you literally cannot think about anything else. I think another Mark Ripito might have said this, or one of my other friends might have said this. I don't remember who, but that the squat is a peril simulator. Like, it's the squat in particular too, because the weight's on your back and it will literally fold you in half if you don't have the safety set up right. But like, if you do have the safety set up right, you're not actually in any danger, but you feel like you are.
Yeah, you don't know that. Your body doesn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a peril simulator, and there's nothing quite like it. But yeah. So what have you learned, like, from the couple months you've been doing this? Like, what are the lessons?
Probably two lessons. One is, I'm trying to think of how to say this, but when you lift, the world pushes on you, and you can push back. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very invigorating, because when you leave the gym and you move the iron around, and like you understand that there are physical limitations, but those physical limitations can be worked on.
Yeah.
You kind of look at the rest of the world, and you walk around the rest of the world feeling very different about yourself and your place in it, because you realize,
you're not set.
I can do things. I can move.
It's
things.
not like an immutable law of the universe that you cannot squat
Yes.
X number of pounds.
Yes.
Like
It's
you can't
simply a
right
matter of-
now. You can't right now, but if
exactly.
you train diligently and work on it, you might be able to in the future. Like,
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where, you know, I have no, my time frame on this is just the rest of my life, and that's very cool. It's very cool because, yeah, just time plus effort, and I have as much time as God sees fit to give me. So it's gonna be cool. I can't wait. Oh, also, just as like a side thing too, my wife has noticed that I have some tightness and some muscles in places that she had not seen
Awesome.
before, and she got very excited about that. And
Oh, hell
that was
yeah.
all the motivation I ever need now. It's just like, oh yeah, wife thinks I'm hot. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's great. So that's probably the one thing, is just that sense of place, that sense of positioning. The second thing, and we can tie this into the essay and maybe bring it into the essay, the genesis of this idea was, last year I began mentoring a young man, and it's actually kind of cool how it happened, because there's a program, and if he goes through the mentoring program, he gets a big old fat scholarship or whatever. But he thought of me when he was, you know, when they were saying, well, who would you want to have mentor you? And he's a great dude. He's a photographer, very bright, very smart, and he's very down to earth, very based. You guys would love him. But he lifts, and I thought to myself, man, Johnny, what if next year we do our mentoring sessions in the weight room? He's like, yes, absolutely. He's like, all right, I'll start working on that, and we'll make it happen at some point. So like, that's the genesis. And then I began thinking of it like, Plato, he was the one that was like ripped to hell, like weightlifting and like all that stuff, right? Wasn't he the one?
Yeah,
Yeah, like, yeah. And then I remember too, librarian of Colano, which if anyone doesn't follow and read him, you need to rectify that error immediately. But librarian has talked about how he keeps iron in his classroom for the gents, and how much that helps just do the job of the educator, because it's all the same stuff. So yeah, there it is.
So the way that how I'm going to tie this into the essay is, I think that, you know, so I'm sort of coaching you over the internet in the gym, and like, me coaching you in the gym is not a matter of me just filling your mind with information.
Correct.
Right. Like, there is some of that. Like, I do have to tell you how to do the lifts properly.
Right.
But more importantly than that, I have to find a way to say the things that are going to make you do the right thing in the gym.
Correct. Right.
And it's like, it's oriented towards action. Like, if I have to find the proper way of conveying the information to you that is going to get you to move your body in the right way the next time you go to the gym.
Right.
It's not memorizing things.
No.
It's based around your actual experience in the world. And that's kind of, I think, one of the central points of this essay is he's trying to reorient your mind to think about education in that way, rather than the way that was prevailing in the culture at the time, or was starting to prevail, which is that it's about imparting information to the student and producing graduates, right? To the point where they can regurgitate something on a test.
Yeah. It's creating eureka moments. Like, to use the weightlifting as an example, that little trick you taught me about the squats where you put the little objects so that way you're neat. Like it basically provides basically a guide for how your legs are supposed to move.
Yeah.
Everything just snapped into place. I got it. And one thing that I've heard, and one thing that I try to embody as a teacher, teaching is transmuting the love of subject from teacher to student. To have the student go, oh, I get it. Okay, yeah. And it isn't about regurgitating facts. It isn't about regurgitating information. It isn't about filling in the multiple choice test. It's, I got it. And that looks very different depending on what you're trying to teach. It's, you're finding out with weightlifting, and then I think about like with, debate, for example, like you know it when you see it. You just know it when you see it.
Well, yeah, and I think so I think Fletcher even brings this up at one point in this essay, is that the learning or the education process is a give and take between teacher and student. And I've been noticing that too. It's like when I tell you stuff, like you've told me a couple times, like, oh, this little thing that you just told me, that's what made it click.
Yes.
And you should lead with that next time. And I'm like, okay, filing that away for the next time I coach somebody. Like, this is the thing that made it click for you. And now I know more about how to teach better in the future. So it's like, it goes both ways, right?
Yeah, it does. One of the best things that happens in my classroom is I ask the students their opinions, and especially with the brighter students, I ask them if they would like to help me create the lessons, and I will often test drive ideas or test drive notions with them. And kids love being asked what they think. What do you think? And it's that give and take. It's that give and take. And then it works. It impacts harder because I've actually sussed out what works, as opposed to just whatever. I don't even know.
Yeah, and you're gearing it towards the students rather than trying to force the students to conform to some set system that's in place.
Yeah, correct. It's very fortunate that I get to do civics and I get to do soft sciences, because we live in a world where, like, just Google it, just look it up, just what's the answer? It's computers are making us more like computers, where what do I press, 0 or 1? Just tell me, and there's no room to be a creature. There's no room to be just pausing and thinking about it.
Yeah.
Very, very King's North pilled, I'd like to say. To use a phrase that John brought up a while back, a couple of weeks ago. It's just to give space to kind of ruminate and just see what happens,
Yep.
Yeah, to be human.
Right.
And not to just be a piece of the industrial machine that really just uses education to make more cogs for it.
Yeah, I think that's something we definitely want to dig into, especially with this essay maybe a little later, is like, what is our education system for? What is it creating? I have a theory on that, especially with the rollout of technology, the relentless rollout of new and different ways to make students use screens.
Yeah.
But to go back to what you were saying there, what was it? Shoot, I had an idea and I think I lost it.
Well, I have a question for you while you think of that.
Yeah.
So are the screens really being implemented a lot in like high schools?
Yes. At least in public schools, every student is issued a Chromebook. Every student is issued a Chromebook, man. And the vast majority of classes rely wholly and completely on the Chromebook. So there you go. I hate using Chromebooks. I will only use them if I have material that I want the students to read, or if I have things that it's just simply easier to have them read it on the computer. Like the equivalent of you guys sending me that essay to read. I mean, that's about the extent. It's also useful for communication, announcements to classes and stuff like that. But like, here's a data point. When the internet goes down in our district, that day is lost. Nothing happens for the whole day.
Yeah.
For the most part. There's a few teachers like myself and some of my other colleagues where we don't give a shit. Like, there's no internet. Great, we're reading books. We don't need the internet anyway. So, deal with it. But the kids shut down. The kids are like, oh, no internet, free day.
Yeah.
That is so that's all it's ever been since they first discovered the brilliance of a digital snow day.
Yeah. Well, I think we lost John for a second.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. He must have had. I don't know. He always has internet issues.
I hope that didn't blackpill him too bad.
We'll see if he comes back though.
Yeah, I hope hearing about the Chromebooks didn't blackpill him too badly.
Yeah. So one thing he just messaged me. He said Storm knocked out the power for a second, waiting for the Wi-Fi to reboot.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, many such cases.
Yeah.
So I guess
considering we were just talking about that.
yeah, for sure. Oh, no internet, free day. I guess the show's over.
Yeah, right. All right. Oh, see you guys later.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was going to ask is, or the next thing I was going to bring up is, so when I read that quote, I always read the first paragraph of the essay as the cold open to these shows. But for this one, the paragraph I read was not actually it was the first paragraph of the essay, but actually before that, there's a multi-paragraph quote, like, what do you call that when they quote somebody else at the beginning of an essay? Epigraph or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But there's a multi-paragraph quote from Confucius.
Yeah, I thought that was really a cool way to
like
start.
What do you make of that?
Confucius had a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. I bet John will probably have more to say about this when he gets back on, because he's dug more into the biographical details of all the essayists in this book.
Yeah.
But I think Fletcher might have been kind of into that stuff, like into the Eastern philosophy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think there's value in being aware of what makes other civilizations successful. And in China's case, love them, hate them. They're one of the oldest civilizations on the earth. And back before anyone even had an idea that the Americas were a thing, China had thousands of miles of canals and entire civilizations, and this whole philosophical pseudo-religious outlook on life, and it's a civilization within its own right.
Yeah.
So the best of a civilization should be studied and understood.
Yeah.
Not necessarily accepted wholesale, because what works in China doesn't necessarily work elsewhere, and it probably won't work elsewhere because only China is like China.
Yeah.
So
well, John's back.
Good. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that, y'all.
So,
the storm just
bro,
knocked out my power.
That means you got to commit redneck seppuku now, bro.
I know.
Oh, no.
I got this new Ethernet cable and everything, and then the lightning knocks out the power.
So we were just talking about. I was asking Phisto what he made of the Confucius quote at the beginning. Like, what do you make of that?
Oh yeah, that was a really good quote.
Yeah. I was saying that it seems wise to study the best of other civilizations, even if we don't necessarily like them, or even if they're even our enemies.
Yeah.
It seems to me kind of foolish to not understand why they are what they are. Let me read the second to last paragraph, because I really like this one. Before joy, satisfaction, anger, sorrow are produced in the soul, the state in which one finds oneself is known as balance. When they are produced in the soul and have not attained beyond a certain limit, the state in which one finds oneself is called harmony. Balance is the great fundamental basis of the world. Harmony is the universal and permanent law. I mean, I have a hard time disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
Because when everything is ordered in the place it should be, it is harmonious.
Yeah, and it's interesting that that kind of ties perfectly in with Plato's Republic, which is all about harmony in the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even from it's not in any way contrary to Western philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's the whole conversation between Plato or the physician and Socrates and the Symposium is all about medicine being the practice of achieving balance in the body. And then he allegorizes that to balance and harmony in the soul.
Yeah. It reminded me of when I'm at liturgy right after taking communion, and how once you've gone through the process and you've done the rite, so to speak, the sacrament, and you're just kind of in this balance, you're in this strange position.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it definitely speaks to something eternal. And one of the things I like with this quote and how it relates to education is, like, I think about when I'm in discussion with my students and we go off on some crazy tangent, or students stick around after class because they want to hear more about the lecture. They want to hear more, like, elaborate on my thoughts and elaborate on my ideas. I have like 3 or 4 lectures where, like, I really go off the deep end as far as history and different kinds of things. And there's a spirit, there's a divine madness that takes over, and you can just feel it, you can just see it. It's there, and it's that give and take. It's that having that balance and harmony between the teacher and the student, their level of knowledge, my ability to communicate it to them, their ability to just even pause and think about it in a way that that they have never thought about. I had a student last year, like, for example, where we had like a month running conversation on the idea, and I just told her this. I forget how we got on the topic, but I just told her, if it's free, you're the product. And she started applying that. She started applying that to, like, everything. And she was like, oh my gosh. Like, she was just having fun. I basically handed her a hammer and said, all right, just go smash everything with this hammer and see what comes out.
Yeah.
She was having a blast with it.
So, one thing, John, while you were waiting for your Wi-Fi, do you know, like, so there's this Confucius quote at the beginning. I was wondering if you knew anything about Fletcher's background and, like, whether he was into Eastern philosophy more than the others, or, like, do you know anything about that? Like, why he would have been interested in Confucius in particular?
I didn't write a biography for Fletcher. I don't remember anything when we did the first episode with all the biographies in it. I don't remember anything specific about any kind of connection he had to Eastern philosophy. I don't know what would have spurned him to pick a Confucius quote specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. My best guess would be maybe that he's just trying to, like Phisto said, trying to get us to kind of break free of such a rigid sectarian mold. Because that does seem to kind of be a theme. He critiques the early Northern education system as becoming too sectarian.
Yeah.
And he kind of presents the Southern education system as being a little bit more open to foreign ideas or open to more influences. So it could be just kind of an application of his principle there.
Yeah, that's actually a disagreement I had with him later in this essay. Like, it's kind of jumping all the way to the end, so we can save it if you want to, or I can bring it up now.
No, we can go ahead and save it towards the end if you want to kind of work through it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so So if you had to, I guess, maybe boil it down to a sentence or 2, or maybe 3, Phisto, what would you say is the point of education? Like, what are we trying to achieve with it?
What are we trying to achieve with it, as it stands now, or what we should
be trying to achieve?
All right, good. Well, I think the act of teaching is transmuting love of the subject to the student. And I would dare compare it, certainly not in kind, certainly not in quality, but in directionally, I would absolutely compare it to communion.
Okay.
The body and the blood, the bread and the wine becomes the body and the blood, and it's this mysterious thing. But like it was explained to me when I first thought about converting to Orthodoxy, it's getting plugged back into the correct power source. It's like you're supposed to be getting your food from God. Literally, you're literally supposed to be eating God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're supposed to have been eating this entire time. And like with education, I want to approach it like that, because like he says in the essay, the goal is to create a self-sustaining, a self-motivated, a good person that runs on its own, that runs on his own, that, to create the kind of person, the good kind of person that will pursue virtues to the highest degree that he is capable of. Basically he'll take his talents or talent and make the most of it as he possibly can.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of education. It's literally, someone once said that, Christianity is about creating sons of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? Turning us into sons. That's what education does too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think Fletcher would agree with that, because at the end of that first paragraph, he says, if we are nothing to begin with, no amount of education can do us any good.
Right.
Because it's teaching us to make use of what we already are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, go ahead, Phisto.
Well, it's just, and that's such a, I asked you at the beginning to clarify, are we talking about what it should be or how it is?
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a terrifying sentence to modern 21st century education.
Yeah.
To do the best with what you are. And a lot of people don't want to think about what they are.
Yeah.
They really don't. They're terrified of it. I was reading some notes. Someone had written a note talking about how we have essentially removed death from the modern experience. And it's like that. It's, no one wants to think about the fact they're mortal. No one even wants to consider that that's real. I'm going to stick my head in the sand and I'm not even going to think about it ever, never, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah. We've become a very anti-death society.
Yeah. I was just,
right.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, I don't know why I even started thinking about this, but I'm like, I have my oldest child is 2.5, and I was just thinking about, like, someday she always loves when grandma and grandpa come over, and like she's all excited about that. For whatever reason, I was just thinking today about, okay, one day my parents are gonna die, and we're gonna go to the funeral, and I'm gonna have to explain death to my kids.
Yeah.
And it's like something they have no concept of.
Yeah.
And how do you even explain that to someone,
Yeah. If we can't explain to our children, if we can't educate our children about things like math and reading and English and grammar and history, and if we can't show them those things, we're not going to be able to show them anything greater. We're not going to be able to show them anything bigger.
Yeah. On the note of death, actually, it's somewhat irrelevant, but I think there's an interesting connection here with agrarianism and industrialism.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea of death is a little bit more well understood intrinsically in an agrarian society, where it's like you have animals that just die, and that's just going to be a natural fact of your existence.
Yes.
And the same thing with sex, right? It's it's kind of strange that you have to, that it's become this modern thing to like, oh, have the birds and the bees conversation with their children. When like in the agrarian society, I would assume that was probably somewhat foreign to them because like you were inseminating cattle.
Right.
Like, you just you knew what it was. That was part of your life.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up because at least from my own experience, I could say 100% that when I talk about death seriously in class or when I bring up something in history or like we're talking about that kind of topic, all the city kids that have moved out to the country are they're kind of, about it. They get visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All the country crackers are just like, yeah, bro. They're just 100,000, 50% unfazed. They're just like, yep, I'm going to slaughter my pig next week. Like, it's just.
Yeah. And
I'm speaking their language.
You know what's funny is that, have you ever read a book where that was clearly written by a city person? It's like a fiction book and one of the characters shoots a gun for the first time. And they're like, the description is all about how they feel powerful and godlike. And like, they're just so invigorated with the power of holding a gun in their hands. And it's like, that's like a clear signal to me that this person has never been around guns, like the author.
Yeah.
Because like I can't imagine, like I just grew up around guns. It was normal to me, like I never felt like God when I held a gun in my hands,
No, I don't have a lot of experience with firearms, but the few times I have shot, my overriding concern was, did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Did I shoot good? Was I okay? Was I safe? Like, how's my trigger discipline? Was I pointing it the correct direction at all times? Like,
yeah. But yeah, the point is there's a real disconnect. Like there's a real disconnect with people that are, and maybe it's not just a city country thing. Even it's like how abstracted are you from the real world?
Yeah.
And the way you live day to day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if y'all have seen that. There's some viral clip that goes around occasionally. I don't know when it was from. I think it was in New Jersey or something. But it's some guy, I think he's pulling up to his house or something, and some kids are out playing soccer in the street, and he's got a deer in the back of his truck. And the kids are losing their mind. They're all crying, and the dad comes out and starts throwing this fit and calls the cops on this dude. And he has to legitimately explain to them that, hey, this is where your meat comes from, is because somebody went out and killed an animal.
Yeah.
And there's a complete disconnect there that the food you get at the grocery store, I guess, just appears there, which kind of it does now with artificially making meat, but that's beyond the point.
Yeah.
But there's an absolute disconnect between a society that understands the means of its survival and one that doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I find tying things into, tying things into the sacraments is so important. And you have to think of what you do. I think kind of in a similar sort of way, because you're tied into the reality of how these things work. Like in school, for example, there's a phrase that it makes me want to stab people, but it's bell to bell. Like the moment the bell rings, stuff is happening. And then the moment the bell hit, and then that's when it stops. And I'm just like, there is no room for the mind to breathe, you assholes. There's no room to, it's like, do you not know where the meat comes from? Like, you just turn on a faucet and then education comes out the faucet, and then you turn the faucet off and then education stuff. Like, you guys should see me right now. I'm standing up in my bedroom. I'm like flailing my arms around. I'm so mad that I just said that phrase. Like, I'm gonna throw my chair or something. No, I'm not gonna do that, I kind of want to, but like there's disconnect from the reality. It's like what that person said. Where they're like, I fired a gun, I felt powerful, and it's.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that they heard someone say at a dinner party.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, oh, that must be what a fight like. So like for education, it's
like the libtards caricature of
yes.
Hicks.
Yeah, exactly. with teachers, it's, oh, that must be so rewarding and and it's just like, oh, God bless those little children. I'm just like, they're a bunch of morons. Someone's like, oh, well, what's it like teaching kids? And I'm like, well, I did insurance for 20 years, pretty much the same damn thing. But when a 15-year-old acts like a moron, he's a 15-year-old and I can let it slide.
Yeah.
Now,
It's like, I've had customers that were significantly less mature than the 14-year-old kid sitting in a chair like doesn't know how to read. Like I'd take that kid over a lot of the adults I've dealt with any day of the week, 'cause at least he's got an excuse. But that's like, someone hears that and they're like, what do you mean? It's like.
now I want to go back to a phrase. I think Phisto, I think you used it.
Yes.
To do the best with what you are.
Yes.
And I think that Gould uses. I think you were quoting him, but I think this is obviously something that we've just completely forgotten in modern America with the radical liberalism that we live with and the egalitarianism. But if you look at something like Plato's Republic, the virtue of justice, he allegorizes that to the relationship of the soul to the body and the relationship of the higher souls to the lower souls.
Right.
And then when you read like The Noble Lie from the Republic, and he attributes to different classes of people a different kind of metal: gold, silver, bronze, iron. And these things, they're immutable. And the virtue of justice is recognizing which caste you're in and living according to that. So if you're a husbandman by nature, for you to be just in your soul, for you to actually exemplify the virtue of justice, you need to be a husbandman. If you're the philosopher king, then you're going to be the philosopher king to be just, and to be anything lower than that would be unjust.
Right. It's like this in the classroom. This is what it looks like. And I stumbled across that very same idea when I was reading Aurelius's Meditations.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, justice isn't treating everybody equally. It's giving them what they deserve.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, like I have a student that wants to go into the Marine Corps. And if this guy hustled, sack war, straight up, this kid I think he could do it. He'd be a complete underdog, but man, so I bust his chops, right? When he's late to class, I'm like, hey, buddy, come on, and I give him things to read. And I, when class is over, I'm calling him up to the front and saying, hey, here's this thing I read by Big Surge about, drone warfare. And I'm like, you got to check this out. I'm like, I'm kind of I'm giving him a hard time because I know he needs that. And then, got the other kid where neither of his parents are home, right? Yeah. Kid's clearly just raised himself. He's already has a part-time job. He's already, he's struggling. When he comes to class, he comes late. I'm poking fun at him, but I'm not busting his chops. I'm saying, hey, bro, how's it going? Hey, you got to look at him differently.
Yeah. And
that's just how it is.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people, I think, confuse or don't understand really, that even the same principle of being anti-egalitarian applied to the legal system of the early United States. And particularly in the South, it was exemplified with, we hear a lot of myths, obviously, like from the Liberator magazine and stuff like that, that Negro slaves were just beaten for any minor transgression of some arbitrary law of their master. But when you actually look at the laws, they were extremely lenient for Negro servants, for anyone uneducated. And as you became more educated, as you had a higher standing in society, you were actually answerable to the law in a much, much more, they could punish you much more for the same transgression.
Yeah, I think in school it's probably the same thing. I mean, unless you commit one of the cardinal sins, which is basically fighting or drugs, our school will try to will try to keep you in as much as they possibly can. And you'll be given, quite a lot of leniency, especially, to get your shit right.
Yeah.
We've got some really great programs. So like our detention, the way they do it is, you'll like this. You guys will like this. They have like an onboarding room. So like if somebody's been expelled and they're coming back, they have to like get through this program. They have to get through this onboarding room. And it's run by a fire and brimstone black preacher. the guy goes by preach. Like people are like, hey pastor, hey sir, how you doing? The dude's hilarious. He's awesome. But man, I would not want to piss this guy off. I would not want to piss this guy off ever. I mean, he has the drill sergeant growl. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But the kids love him. Like, but that's the thing though. Like, you're coming in, like you don't know any better, and then we stick that guy, and it's like, yeah, that's the guy you get to deal with. It's cool. I mean, yeah.
I meant to ask you at the beginning. I forgot what. I guess I don't really know what they're called. I guess class of school are you at? Like, like 4A, 5A. Is it a big school or a little school?
The classes that I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's probably medium sized.
Okay.
Like in my mind, a small school is like in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Total. Like in the anywhere from like 1,000 to 3,000, I'd probably say is medium sized ish. Okay. And then once you start getting bigger than that, I would say it's probably insane. But it's pretty manageable. It's pretty manageable size wise. I mean, if I compare it to the Dunbar number, it only takes me a couple of months to really kind of get to know my entire class, and then by the time they're seniors, I pretty much never see them again because they're out. I mean, they're virtually out of high school by that point.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I would say.
Okay.
So I wanted to bring up this. I think it's on page 96 in my edition. He says, quote, formerly we followed Goethe's maxim to the effect that everything that frees man's soul but does not give him command over himself is evil. Today we are out to withdraw the command of men over themselves and to free to no purpose their souls. End quote.
Yeah, that was
so he's like
as well.
So he's like basically saying that freedom of the soul is bad if it doesn't have a purpose in mind.
Wait, say that one more time.
Freedom of the soul is bad if it doesn't have a purpose in mind.
Yeah. Well, idle hands are the devil's workshop.
Mm-hmm.
It's that old idea.
Yeah.
I can't find this quote in mine for you. I had wanted to bring up this exact same quote, and now I can't find it. I had notes with it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of it's going back to this. I mean, we talked about liberty before in the, what Jefferson's idea of liberty was versus what we think of as liberty today.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you have the freedom to do? Like, what is your liberty for? Why is it good? What's the purpose of liberty? And I think that's kind of what he's getting at there is like, if it's just liberty for liberty's sake, it's probably bad.
Yeah. And I think that ties into like the broader political understanding of negative and positive liberties, the freedom from or the freedom to do something. And I don't think that the early American system was ever intended to grant like some kind of libertarian freedom from any kind of rule so long as you didn't violate the non-aggression principle. It was certainly a system designed to grant citizens the freedom to be virtuous. That was the point. And I think this is also ties into a larger idea that while it is true that you may have freedom from any kind of rules so long as you don't violate the non-aggression principle, you also, in like manner, are actually bound and you're enslaved to, in this case, sin. If you don't use freedom to pursue virtue, then you're bound to sin.
Yeah.
And so it's not actually real freedom anyways.
Yeah. Everything that frees man's soul but does not give him command over himself is evil. So
yeah,
it's
in that case, it just becomes enslavement to sin.
Yeah, just, because that would be, if your soul was quote unquote freed, but you had not mastered your passions, then you're just ruled by your passions.
Yeah.
And you're going to do whatever and do whatever destructive shit you're going to do, like your passions lead you to, right?
Yeah, you're going to answer to somebody whether you like it or not. If you think you answer to yourself only, you just haven't paid attention. I think this gets into. I think this is a good time to kind of bring up what I think schools are becoming for. Black pill inbound. Not really, but
we're already black pilled.
Yeah, it's fine
on schools.
Hey, man. Like a thief in the night. Don't worry about it. No, John, earlier we were joking that when I mentioned your power gave out, right? When I mentioned that pretty much all the students get Chromebooks, they're issued Chromebooks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, you missed that. You didn't hear that part.
No, I didn't hear any of that. As soon as you started talking, the power cut out.
Yeah. All right. So students are all issued Chromebooks, right? And remember, the one thing that I told my student, and this is one of the things we talked about in depth, when I told that student, if it's free, you're the product, I pointed her straight to digital things. And I said, you're getting a free Chromebook. So what's being sold? What's the product? Cell phones and devices and things of that nature are allowed in schools, and they can't really be stopped because parents just won't. They just won't grab the reins and help us fix it. I mean, it's playing whack-a-mole with this stuff. So, like, what is all of this for? What are we producing? And, during the American Revolution, after the American Revolution, the idea was schools need to help create good people, good men, right? Then the Union, sadly, my ancestors come up with, hey, we're going to have schools that are going to help create factory workers.
Yeah, you
right?
Damn Yankee.
Slaves, right? I repent. That's why I call myself a retard every Sunday. Now, they're going to create meat for the machine, literally, in some cases, meat for the machine in the factories. So what is the dominant mode? What is the dominant, form of our work these days? And it's laptop jobs. It's information jobs. It's using computers. It's navigating bureaucracy. So our schools are going to naturally teach people how to, navigate the world. But again, what are we creating? Before we created workers, now I think we're creating a phrase I've started to use is we're creating data cattle. The tech companies and the transhumanists, the literally afraid of death people. That's all they are. They're just afraid of death.
Yep.
They want to use the mass of humanity and the sheer amount of data that's available in order to figure out how to solve all their problems. It's one giant data collection experiment. And when they force this stuff down into schools, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on a little bit. When they force these things down into schools and they force these things into there, if I'm a tech bro, I see public schools as a factory farm, full of little data cattle that I can, manipulate to my every whim. I mean, the amount of AI, you got to use Gemini, you got to create your lessons with ChatGPT, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, what? Guys, like, why isn't anybody stopping and going, Harvard is forcing people to take remedial math courses because they don't learn how to do math. Yeah. Like, you have college professors that are going, where teachers are using AI to make lesson plans, students are using AI to complete those lesson plans, and then teachers are using AI to grade students' work.
Yeah.
It's so what do we, I mean, you don't want to mistake yourself and say that the system isn't working as intended. What if that's exactly what is supposed to happen?
Yeah. And this
What if
wouldn't
that's on
be
purpose? Yeah. What if that's intentional?
Yeah.
That's, you know. So anyway, ugh.
The first note I'd like to make, and we'll link this in the show notes.
Yeah.
Guy by the name of Rob Prairie. He's on YouTube. He's on Substack as the Cause. He did a really fantastic YouTube video on the education system in early America. And Yale and Harvard were the two universities that he drew his sources from. And to enter Yale or Harvard in the 17th, 18th century, you had to come in already speaking fluently Greek and Latin, being able to translate Cicero or Plato, Aristotle. You had to be able to translate that just to enter. And then you still had to do an entrance exam with the president of the university to even be accepted.
Yeah, he had to talk to you one-on-one.
Yeah, and to put this into perspective, how much we suck. John Adams entered, I believe it was Harvard or Yale at 15 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we really suck compared to these guys.
Yeah.
But another point I wanted to make is when you were talking about them creating, the term you used was data cows, I believe.
Data cattle.
Data cattle. This wouldn't even be unprecedented if you accept the conspiracy theory. It was either the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers that sort of really pushed the education system as it is now to create cogs for their industrial machine, to create just workers that were not critical thinkers. This isn't something that's unprecedented in history.
Yeah. I don't need you to. You don't need to know Greek to put a wheel on a car.
Exactly.
You don't need to know how to read a map to get DoorDash.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, the promise of this system was, okay, well, we're going to do these things. We're going to put wheels on cars more effectively. And then you're only going to have an 8-day work week and eventually a 4-day or a 8-hour work day, 7-day work week, and then 5 days and 4 days. And eventually you're going to have all this time to study Greek and Latin on your own at home.
Because you're going to, you just do it on your own. It'll be good.
Yeah. And that never actually happens. And that's kind of that false promise that.
Well, it's actually interesting you put it up like that, because when I was in Orlando this weekend, I was watching people quite a lot. And the idea that, you're going to save all this time by using AI, you're going to get all this research, you get all this knowledge, there's going to be all this stuff out there you're going to get to read and look at and stuff. And that's not happening. Go to a pool, go to like a public pool, or like next time you're at a hotel, like go down to the pool and just watch everybody.
Yeah.
And see how many people are looking at their phones and they're curled up in that position, like hunched over.
Yep.
Usually the girls are usually the girls have their legs crossed. The fellas will have their feet up, Yep. It's an open air opium den.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
No, that's
everybody walking down the street, like it's zombies, man.
I can say this from personal experience, dude. Like I have one of those laptop jobs. Like I'm in software development, and I've been working for this company for. I saw the transition from not AI to AI, right? Yeah. While I've been at this company, and it's not the name of the game is not use AI and free up other time for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like the name of the game is now we can fit more production into the same time because we have AI.
Right.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's true at schools too. It's use AI because it makes you more efficient. It's going to save more time. And then we don't have to hire as many of you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny for me too. Like people say, you don't have to spend time on lesson plans. You don't have to spend time on getting ready for class. And I'm like, I like that part. Why would I want to speed through like one of the best parts?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
why don't you just have AI pray and worship God for you. You know?
Yeah, dude, you
Like,
might be
just
on something there.
send an AI bot to liturgy in your stead,
Yeah.
and you can stay home.
Oh, that's perfect. You know what? You could train an AI to argue with the priest, and then I'll never have to do that again either.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Oh, guys, do you think we could program AIs to commit our favorite sins? I won't even have to do that. I won't have to murder anybody anymore. I can just have a robot do it. Oh, excited.
Now
Yeah.
that when you just mentioned loving, like, lesson planning and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's two quotes I wanted to read particularly in regards to that. The first one is going to be on page 103 of my version, and it's the paragraph under the Prussian high school quote.
Yeah.
And it says, quote, "Their object was to teach nothing that the teacher himself had not mastered and could not convey to his pupils. Their training was therefore classical and humanistic rather than scientific and technical, as most of the available teachers were products of the older English or European and American schools." And then again, it talks about on starting on page 99 at the bottom of it, it is talking about tribes and taboos. And it says, apart perhaps from the extinct Tasmanians, the nearly extinct Bushmen, and a few other interesting survivals here and there, man shows at the very outset of his career the elements of tribal confederation. This, like the later social organizations of the clan, the family, the city-state, and the religious brotherhood, is essentially a band of individuals held together by certain practices, which it is assumed will be of mutual benefit to its members. The tribe lives and acts in common, and its actions are motivated by a complete knowledge embodied in totemism and taboo of what is permitted and what is forbidden. These taboos, religious, social, moral, are the unwritten but infrangible laws of the tribal community. They represent the unconscious demands of that community, embodied in definite practice, and all the actions of the tribe must respond to them. Culture without such a system of taboos is not culture, and we cannot understand the early Greeks, the American Indians, or any other race of antiquity without understanding, first of all, the system of taboos and of licit and illicit practices from which they sprang and took their being. So it would, part of what Fletcher's getting at, I think, with a lot of this essay is the rootedness or the humanity of the teachers in being able to teach things that are relevant to their actual students. And I think that's something, like, on the topic of AI, that AI would completely lack. It lacks the ability to talk about and teach the taboos that make culture necessary, that actually produce culture and keep culture centered around its historic principles.
Yeah, 100%. The machine is not interested in taboos, because if you have taboos, you might not buy something it wants to sell you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we have to train machines to respect our taboos.
Yeah,
right.
Like, you remember when the AI first came out, and I don't remember which one it was, but one of the big ones was, like, being a raging anti-Semite on Twitter.
That was Grok.
It was Grok, yeah. And they had to, like, lobotomize it to get it to stop doing that, right? So,
right,
because that's like a cultural taboo you can't touch right now,
right?
Because it didn't care. Like, it didn't care that people don't like that stuff, or it didn't care that
one of the things
the machine doesn't like that stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that it's going to be very insidious, and you see this with the political persuasion of AIs. They are going to program the zombies with whatever taboos they feel, whatever taboos the programmers feel necessary to program.
Yeah.
Like, you can't use the wrong pronoun.
Yeah.
You can't judge a minor attracted person. You can't, it's like, it's not the immigrants' fault that, they've been in prison for murder for 20 years out of the 21 years they've been in the United States. It's like, and people will simply take this. They're going to be like, well, the AI said this. Grok, is that true? You know, like it's that joke. Like it's really and it's not even that. Oh, I want to pivot slightly. If that's okay, guys.
Yeah.
Because I see potential though. Like even though all of this is horrible, right? A lot of this is horrible to people where, you know, I think it's primarily horrible to those of us who had any egalitarian impulses at any point, right? Like myself. I mean, I'm from Dennis Kucinich's district up in Cleveland, Ohio. Like I was the most boilerplate Democrat of all time, right? So like this for me goes, oh, it's all a lie. Yeah, it's all a lie, buddy. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm getting at is, so a buddy of mine, his dad does a ton of stuff with AI, and he works for a medical supply company, like, you know, MRI machines, and like the dude's got like active radioactives at his facility. Like the guy just does crazy work. It's really interesting stuff. And he's like, listen, the interesting part about AI, that right now, when I have a really complicated project, I can get it about 80% of the way there. But the trick is, I know the 20% that it fucks up. And he says one of the best things is that he abuses the AI when it makes a mistake. He's like, listen, you little shit fuck. Don't take my word for it. Check.
I do that
like,
all the time at my job.
It's really aggressive. Yeah. You have to discipline. What I see there from a teacher's perspective, I get terrified because you have tons of people where they will never even know 20% of it could even possibly, like, they're just not even capable of that. But you're gonna get guys, and I'm gonna say it like this: when your enemy is nothing but data cattle, it will have never been easier to solo the horde.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be just wading into a bunch of gelatinous blobs with like a Roman legion. Like it's over. You know,
yeah,
it's just
it's gonna
done.
literally be
You're
trying
done.
to take over that whatever that ship was from Wall-E.
Yeah, exactly.
That's almost where we're at this point.
Yeah. So like, I wonder if you tribes are like, just think about the fact that the three of us are on this podcast together because we have similar taboos, we have similar beliefs, we have similar ideals, right? And they're similar enough that we find ourselves gravitating to each other. And like, I think, is there opportunity, or are we fucked? I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
There's always opportunity. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I'm always telling people never black pill.
Yeah.
No.
You know,
yeah, never.
Well, have you read Against the Machine yet, Jason?
No, I'm retarded.
Okay, I know Phisto has.
Oh yeah.
The very last, I think it's the very last chapter, and might even be the very last paragraph of that book, when he talks about, he basically tells us not to black pill because the machine, nothing can be infinite but God, and the machine's going to wear itself out eventually.
Right. Yeah.
And
be not afraid, for I've overcome the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure thing, boss. Yes, sir.
And it's really, it gets somewhat depressing looking at all these issues, like especially we've been doing this podcast, because I'm not as radical as a lot of these people are with like, oh, being able to name the Jews as being the only issue that the world has or something. These things are a lot deeper than that. And
yeah.
But looking at these issues as a whole, is industrialism, at the way that it's wrecked our humanity, our education system, everything. It's a massive, massive hurdle to overcome. Yeah. And
what was a complete, I'm going to use a real personal example. I need to speak a little vaguely because I don't want to dox. But the best way that I can explain that I understand what you're saying is, my father, God bless him, is the son of a bastard. And my grandfather didn't do a great job communicating what the family lineage was.
Okay.
So in turn, I got nothing. Right. And I don't hold that against anybody. It's just, it is what it is. Right.
Yeah.
But then when I went back and looked and found it and got the history books and found out where I come from, and I see my own ancestors talking about our shared ancestors, and they're talking about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a lightning bolt to my skull. It was, oh my fucking God, I am these people. And I looked through the histories and I looked through the book, and I come from a long line of teachers and pastors and soldiers.
Yeah.
That's all my family is, and settlers and farmers and everything else. But like, and it's like, no wonder I have such a fucking good time teaching.
Yeah.
This is really what I am. I mean, dude, like, my family's name, my family probably got started because like they were solidly middle class when they left England because they were pilgrims. They probably got started. They probably got to that level of society because they were knights in the First Crusade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like that's in there, man. I see that. And it's like, so, you know, anybody who's like, Phisto likes the Jews. It's like, well, I come from a long black families that you'd be surprised what they got up to.
Yeah.
Let's just say my kill count's a lot better than yours. But anyway, moving right along.
No, this is something I find this really, I made a note about this a while ago. My family did keep our lineage, and they've tracked it very well. But I only recently got engaged in it personally and really learning about it.
Oh, yes.
And there really was a certain enlightenment that happened as I learned more about it. And all of this stuff becomes personal. Everything, and this is it almost explains like why we have Hispanics over here that are waging open war against the United States under the Mexican flag or something. Yeah. And it's like they care about their heritage, just like the Chinese and the Italian Americans do. They care about their heritage. We're the only ones that have forgotten it. And when you really learn about it, I would say most people that are heritage Americans have some kind of family story that's worth remembering. Oh yeah. And it would be meaningful to them. It would impact their life now in some way. Right. And it really is an enlightening experience, and it roots you to the land and to the people in a way that you just can't be ideologically.
Yes, it's amazing to me that I can now fully, completely, and 100% say my ancestral homelands are Massachusetts. Yeah, that is where my people are buried. Yeah, yeah. For better or worse, right? For better or worse, because it's Massachusetts, and there's a lot of beef. I get it. We have a lot of beef with Massachusetts, right? I get it. But at the end of the day, fucking ride or die. That's it. Hell yeah. This illustrates how deep the problem goes, I think. It's the Jews. It's the this. No, you don't understand. Yeah. No, the problem isn't any of them. It's us. Yeah, exactly. That's something, everyone has that sticker, that flag that has the picture of the founding fathers on it. It says, if we would be here, we'd be stacking bodies right now. And it's true to an extent, they would be, but they wouldn't be killing Jews and Negroes and Hispanics. They'd be killing us. They'd be killing everybody. They'd be back here and they would be so disgraced that we were their posterity. Yeah. I mean, because the super just radical racists and the racialists, they want to tout like the white race as being the superior race, but then they want to blame other people. It's like, okay, well, even from your own perspective, if this is correct and we are this superior race, then you don't have you can't blame other people. That's not something you get to do. This goes into one of the things I loved about debate last year. I didn't love it because you'll see why, but I love it all the same, because we have a debate competition every year, and this year our rival school won. Whatever, it's fine. Love of the game, hail Caesar, well played. I don't care. But the kids immediately get into the whole oh, well, they cheated or this, they're making up excuses.
Yep.
And one thing I'm going to do this year is I'm going to try to highlight to the club. I'm like, guys, if you lose, the only person that is responsible is you.
Yeah.
And if the other side cheated, you're still responsible because you couldn't overcome the cheating.
Yep.
Yeah,
They still
it's a
beat
skill
you.
issue. You
You
should have
still
cheated
lost.
better.
Yes, you should have done something. Like
Yeah.
like the saying with Trump in 2024, too big to rig,
Hmm.
right? Like that's the attitude you have to take. And when you look at what our forefathers did, right? Like when you look at the stuff that they did, like, if they're like, oh, well, the British aren't fighting fair, or this or that, and the other, well, then there's the swamp fox who's just, I'm just slaughtering everybody. Get out of my way. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
okay. It's guys like, do you want to win, or do
Yep.
you want to look good at a dinner party?
Yeah. And you see that same principle of like, well, just, do better, beat them. Like in that, what's that? It wasn't originally Adam Sandler, but The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
At the end of that, like the prison guards are cheating their asses off.
Yeah.
And the prisoners still win because they're just better.
Right.
You don't get to shirk the blame off onto Jews or Negroes or Hispanics. That's not something that you have a right to do.
Or the Indians.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're cheating. They're just better at cheating. Well, fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What would the founding fathers have said in this situation?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been just blame. They didn't blame the British. I mean, they blamed them to the extent that they pointed out their flaws, but they didn't recognize that the British were superior to them.
Yeah. You guys are going to like what
kick their ass.
Yeah, you guys are going to like what I say here. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this essay is how it kind of explained how Southern education works, and how Southern education was about creating good men.
Yes.
The proof of the pudding is, the South lost the Civil War.
Yeah.
That's it. Fair enough. Fine. Sure. Robert E. Lee is proof that that you guys might have lost, but you might not have been losers.
Yeah.
Like, and the way he acted after the war and what he did, and it's just straight up, I'm just gonna be better.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even in defeat, it's like
Yep.
that. It's like that Ernest Younger quote from Storm of Steel, where he's looking over his trench of guys, and he's like, "We might be crushed, but we'll never be defeated."
Yeah. And
Let's go.
Yeah, Robert E. Lee was so great in war that the United States had to recognize his greatness and adopt him as United States general.
Yeah.
And he was still, after the war, fighting tooth and nail to stop Reconstruction.
Yeah.
And his health limited him from doing things like actually being involved with the Klan.
Yeah.
But even, he was the one that appointed Forrest to be Grand Wizard of the Klan. And Forrest has a national park named after him. Like, this guy was out here killing carpetbaggers and Freedmen Bureau's agents. And you name a national forest after him because you can't deny how great he was.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we need to think of more, especially as people descended from the Anglo side of things, you got to take a Roman perspective. And I'm going to illustrate this with a bit of fiction. But you guys ever see the movie Cleopatra, like the old school Elizabeth Taylor, like all that stuff? Watch it sometime. The second half, you guys know how it ends, right? Mark Antony and Cleopatra commit suicide.
Yeah.
Octavian Augustus is the victor.
Yep.
There's this incredible moment at the end where Octavian has come into the temple and he's trying to find out what happened. And a soldier comes up to him and he goes, "Mark Antony is dead." And the actor, the guy playing Octavian, kills it. He turns to him and he goes, Is that how you say it? Mark Antony is dead. The soup is cold. The soup is hot. Mark Antony is dead. And then he just roars into the chamber. Mark Antony is dead. He would cut out your tongue because you had the gall to say it like that. And like the centurion is just terrified. He's like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die. and Octavian goes off on him. It's like in HBO's Room. Have you guys seen this?
No.
Check it out sometime. There's a part where Pompey dies, and the Egyptians give Caesar his head, and Caesar's pissed that he didn't get to kill Pompey. And they're like, "What's the problem? Like, he's your enemy." And he just yells at him, "He was a consul of Rome."
Yeah.
Even though he's my enemy, he was a consul of Rome. And I get that these are like fictional portrayals, but
well, no, that one's in the sources though. Like,
okay.
I don't remember if it's Plutarch or somebody else, but
yeah. Well,
Caesar was pissed when he was brought the head of Pompey.
Well, even in Plutarch's Lives, though, of Antony, he because Antony died at least a little bit before Cleopatra did, and they granted Antony's body to be entombed in Egypt.
Yeah,
out of respect for Antony.
Yeah, it's those kinds of things that's what we've lost. Like, even though we're enemies, even though you're enemies, right? You can be enemies. Like, they're still your people.
Yeah.
And you see this with like the Romulus and Remus story, where Remus had an empty throne next to Romulus and stuff like that. Like,
also though, on the other hand, our enemies now are way more retarded than they were back then, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Our enemies now are also sometimes they are of our people. Oftentimes now our enemies are just complete foreigners.
Yeah, we have to realize too that we're also our own worst enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and once you pull your head out of your butt, you can have 200 years of Pax Romana.
Yes. And this was before I deleted my Substack account, I had written an essay. It was called Suicidal Chivalry. And it was a commentary on Tolkien's translation of the Battle of Maldon. And he essentially uses the term suicidal chivalry when he talks about the allowance of the Viking to cross the bridge that was otherwise being held by two guys just slaughtering Vikings. And they plead with him like, well, can we cross the bridge and have fair pitched battle? And they're like, yeah, okay, fine, you can cross. And then they got slaughtered.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what, and Tolkien was getting at here was like, this is not, while it may look like chivalry, this was actually suicide, and this is not something that we should do. And we became our own worst enemies in this battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing the Battle of Maldon in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this...
That's great.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about how Tolkien felt about chivalry in The Lord of the Rings. I do think that the movies were slightly... in the part in the movies when Theoden lets Wormwood go because Aragorn told him to. In the books, I don't think Aragorn told him to let Wormwood go.
Yeah, he just kind of escapes.
Yeah, and I think that the movies kind of portrayed Tolkien as being a little bit more willing to commit suicide by chivalry than he actually was.
Yeah.
That's a side note, but that was something that I kind of came to conclusion to when I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it relates back to the essay, though, to kind of bring this tangent back around. I think it really does relate to the essay, though, because at the end of the day, it is still at the end of the day about doing what you can with what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not honest with yourself, and you're not honest with what your capabilities are, and you aren't honest with your situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even really begin.
Yeah. Now, on that topic of kind of doing what you can with what you are, Fletcher makes a point to refute some common, or at least one common argument of sort of a radical egalitarianism in the Old South education system. Mm-hmm. And it's Jefferson gets abused a lot. I said it a lot on this podcast. I've written about it, and I'll say it again. Thomas Jefferson gets abused a lot by everybody.
Yeah,
and this is one point where he also gets abused is so Thomas Jefferson, everybody says, believed that everyone should have free education and we should be living in a Marxist paradise. And this is the argument that Fletcher's refuting when he says, well, no, what Jefferson actually was talking about in his bill concerning the general diffusion of knowledge, and then his later commentaries after he was out of office, consulting with the education department. His system was not just diffusing knowledge generally to an equal extent. The only extent to which knowledge was diffused equally was the first 3 years, which was paid for by the state for everybody. Out of those students that went to school for 3 years, students were selected by committee that were the brightest and most capable to move on to what was called second grade, or would have been like high school for us in modern terms. And then of those students, they were selected the best and brightest to move on to college to go study at William and Mary.
Yeah.
And the goal of this was to maintain a strict meritocracy in the American political system. And they recognized that not all students were equally capable of even understanding what was taught at Marian College, much less fulfilling the roles that would be available to them by graduating, such as political office or being lawyers or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so in the Southern education system, it was very dedicated to being geared towards what each student was and what his natural capacities were for learning.
Yeah, I love that part of it.
Yeah, it's something that's really it's been just abused and forgotten.
Yeah, I naturally want to not naturally, but our debate club has been moving in that direction. And what I'm hoping to do, so this year, well, let me back up a little bit. Something that developed last year as well was the students really wanted to take like a kind of an organic approach and create something uniquely suited to where we live.
Oh, okay.
And part of what's come out of that is next year, we're going to have our first debate captain.
Oh.
And very bright guy. One of my favorite students ever. He's going to be a senior. And the position, him and I are going to kind of develop it, but the position will only ever be open to a senior. And it is very much going to be, you have ascended to the heights of power. Go. Like, I'm essentially going to imbue him with dictatorial powers.
Wow.
And obviously I'm going to be guiding him through it. But what I'm hoping to do, and him and I have talked about this in quite some detail, I want to provide students that when they start as freshmen, there's a goal out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something that can be seized and can be executed upon. And their will can, like, I want them to, play the game of defeating Mark Antony and defeating Cleo. But like, I want them to kind of get a sense of what that's like, because I keep telling them, I'm like, guys, the minute you get out of high school, you're right back to FNG. So I want to make sure that at least once before you got out of here, you had an opportunity to show me what you're made of. Yeah.
And you know what? That's it ties into a quote on page 117 from the essay. The kind of the importance you're talking about of like competition, of having a goal to achieve to, when he says, quote, and what it may be asked is the chief interest of the present day American high school product. He or she is chiefly interested not in learning, but in athletics. And rightly, because athletics offers the only opportunity for the spirit of healthy competition.
Yep.
It gives him the only chance to show that he's actually good at something.
Yeah, that he can beat. That he's better at it than other people.
Yeah, and I think that kind of strikes at the heart of some of the stuff we've been talking about. With one, this idea that competition is not inherently bad; it's necessary.
No.
but also it gives the students a chance to exemplify their natural virtue. Whether are they a golden or a silver student? Are they bronze or iron?
Yeah. And I think on the flip side, we've cheapened losing.
Yeah.
By eliminating losing, by giving everybody a participation trophy, everybody gets a pat on the back, everybody gets a pat on the butt. Good job, good game.
Yep.
It cheapens it. Because, I'm thinking back to something that was actually discussed quite a lot in Starship Troopers. There's a part where the high school teacher character, Dubois, says, "Congratulations, you just placed 4th in track and field. Don't you feel accomplished?" And Rico's like, "No."
Mm-hmm.
And Dubois asks, "Why not?" Because he's like, "You just gave me 4th place. I didn't even run." He's like, "Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you didn't actually do anything." And it's like, you get 2nd place, you get 3rd place, you get 4th place. You almost want to point back and go, look at all the people who didn't even step up on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, and you were brave enough to lose.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you are a loser. It doesn't mean that you're defeated forever. It just means now you have something to learn. It's actually even more fun to lose because then you have something to learn. Because you guys are in high school. Who cares if you win a debate competition in high school? Who gives a shit?
That kind of reminds me of somebody that there's this meme that's gone around about how there's in the Olympics there should be one average person in every event.
Yeah.
Just so you can see how the losers of the Olympics stack up against the average person.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea.
It is definitely the idea of competition it's extremely important if you're going to have a society based on merit. You can't remove competition from it. And if you are going to remove competition, you have to. There has to be some reason you're removing competition, which I think in this case is probably some kind of obviously Marxist or socialist ideologies that are driving that.
Yeah, I would dare say, if your society isn't built on competition, it's not going to be a society for very long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because and in the uniquely American context, it was, even until I would probably dare say the 1904. When did they get rid of the Presidential Fitness Award thing that they used to do? Even that lasted for a long time in the United States.
I'm looking it up. It looks like it was done in 2013.
Yeah. Competition was such a part of Americanism. And part of that, of course, ties into a lot of people will critique it on, that's also one of the driving factors of capitalism and supply and demand and blah, blah. But it is also true that a society without competition just can't exist because you're not going to have the men capable of defending it ideologically or physically when the barbarians try to cross the borders.
Violence has solved more issues in history than any other factor.
Breeds
that forget this fact always pay with it with their lives and their freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I did want to bring up. I know before you have to go, Phisto, I did want to bring up this disagreement I had with Fletcher, which was on the very last page of the essay. He says, quote, "We can cease being sectarian and stop fanning the fires of narrow-minded religious intolerance by realizing that, after all, religion is a matter of personal choice, but intelligence is a matter of communal responsibility." End quote. So you know exactly what I'm about to say, don't you?
What is it?
But yeah, what it sounds to me like is that he's almost like tacking religion onto the society as an afterthought. It's like, okay, you have the way that society is structured and the way education works, but people can differ in their religious beliefs. and still be part of the same society. I would put it the other way around. It's like, I think this is a misunderstanding of religion and what religion is. It's like, I think that the religion is the foundation of everything.
Well, yeah. Religion is what you think about the nature of reality. If you don't agree on what the nature of reality is, you're going to have a hard time building towards anything in any kind of direction. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of that conversation I had over the weekend that we talked a little bit about in chat. The gem that I got out of that conversation is, Americans. Americans are deeply sincere. Americans are very, very, very spiritual. But you just don't do what God tells you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is. Like, it's just we're just rebellious. We're Americans, and it's kind of got to get slapped out of us a bit.
Yeah, we're very brash and immature, and like freaking, we're like prepubescent teen, or I guess pubescent teens. We're like full of piss and vinegar, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
There was a post someone made. I can't remember who it was. Someone in our circles posted the other day about banned books, and someone started some banned book library somewhere. Someone was saying how it would draw all the Americans because Americans want to read banned books just because they're banned, regardless of what's actually in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that kind of shows that.
But am I wrong about this though? Like, am I wrong about the fact that I think Fletcher misunderstands what religion is?
I think he does. Like, it's a matter of personal opinion. It's like, well, have fun at Last Judgment, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the other hand, though, like, if I was going to make the case for him, I would think that what he means is, like, he's working within the context of the 1920s, late 1920s, 1930s, right? Yeah. So, like, he's working within that, before, while America was still largely Protestant, right?
Yeah.
And so he would say that, I think if I had to steelman his case for that, it would be like, he's going to say, we're all Christian, quote unquote, broadly speaking, and we're all and we can disagree about being different flavors of Protestant.
Yeah.
And I think that specific quote I think it needs to be understood with his previous critique that he makes of the Northern education system versus the Southern, and the Northern being rigidly dogmatic in its theology. I don't think I can find the quote now.
Yeah,
he talks about like you being rigidly Unitarian or being rigidly Puritan or some other sect of Northern Christianity. The schools were adopting those as being like dogmatic and not allowing them to be critically thought through or critiqued in debate.
Well, the South was primarily like descendant of the Anglican Church, right?
Yeah.
So
sorry. I want to steelman both of these sides here, because, like, if he's saying that it's bad that the North is that way, like, let's just call the North Puritan for simplicity, and say that they're dogmatically Puritan and they don't allow critique or criticism of Puritanism. It's like, okay, I mean, Puritanism is wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't think the disallowing criticism of the prevailing religion itself is necessarily wrong. Like, for example, if America was Orthodox and somebody criticized Orthodoxy for disallowing critique of it, I would be like, no, you're wrong. We shouldn't allow criticism of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I guess I'm probably the shitlib of the podcast, and that's fine. I'm a pretty deprecated Jeffersonian, Jefferson has a quote. He says, "The truth stands on its own." All right. So particularly, okay. So I don't believe that politics should be necessarily one-for-one imagery of the church and the relationship of like the laity to the clergy. And I don't necessarily believe that that's always right. I think there are contexts when that's right. Like the Byzantine Empire was uniquely Orthodox, and that's fine. Given the modern context, it's going to come off as kind of bad. It's not that I wouldn't work to make America Orthodox, because I obviously would. In the immediate context right now, I do appreciate religious freedom because it allows for debate and discussion. If we didn't have religious freedom, we probably wouldn't have any Orthodox Christians.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to make a larger point though. There is a whether you can name it or not, there is a prevailing religious ethos that undergirds the whole society. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe today, I don't know what you would even call it. It's some kind of post-liberalism, whatever you want to call it, like this ideal that like the ideal that we should have religious freedom and everybody should be able to practice whatever they want. That is itself the prevailing religious undergirding of society.
Yeah, and that was a really good point that Tucker and Dyer made on the recent podcast they did.
Yeah. So the point is like, and the mainstream today will not allow you to criticize that.
Correct. Yeah.
And my point is, I understand that. Like my point is, if my religion, Orthodoxy, was in charge, I would probably have the same opinion. Like I would not want that to be challenged either, because you're challenging the fundamental structure of society in that case.
You know, what I keep thinking of is, and maybe I'll leave it here because I should probably be heading out. So I'll leave you guys with this last thought, if that's all right.
Yeah.
I think in the 1930s when Fletcher wrote this, he's definitely working within the context of freedom of religion, which did not mean the obviously retarded ones.
Yeah.
Right. Like
exactly.
And those religions,
like he's not including Islam and Hinduism.
It's right, because
freedom to be Christian broadly.
Yeah.
Right. Because Hinduism and Islam and all these other things weren't here. If the people aren't here, the religion is not here.
Exactly.
Right? It doesn't exist here.
Yeah.
So fast forward 30 years down the line, and thanks to modern technology and our victory in World War II, we became the empire. So now everybody can come to the empire, right?
Yep.
And through a lot of the shattering destruction that occurred in the 1960s and the 1950s, where that consensus that Fletcher enjoyed was simply skull fucked, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean to put it any other way, but that's literally what occurred.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're now in a situation where these religions are here. So that has changed the idea, right? It is what it is. I'm glad that you brought up the Byzantines, because I think directionally, and this gets into like a lot of the ideas I have about like a North American imperium and like what this part of the world needs to become. If you don't share our faith, that's fine. Stay the fuck over there.
Yeah, you're just not part of our thing then.
Right.
That's
the Byzantine model. That was the Byzantine model. Oh,
yes.
You don't want to be Christian? That's cool. Stay over there.
Yep.
And you don't want to find out what happens.
Yeah, it was also generally the Roman model too, like with the way they dealt with Jerusalem when the Jews were dissenting from the Roman paganism.
The other thing too.
Go ahead.
Just the other thing I want to add too is I think also the Byzantines had a really good sales pitch because they had the city. You want to be Christian? Check this shit out.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, yeah, converting, done. Clearly your God is the best one.
Yes.
Because they could see it. They could go visit the Hagia Sophia and go, son of a bitch. All right, sign me up. Like,
Yeah.
and we don't have that in the United States, right? Everybody's converting to the materialist consumer religion because we have 75,000 Constantinoples. So clearly, so it is what it is, and I don't know how that's going to change or get fixed or whatever. I don't know, but
yeah, I guess my point with the disagreement with Fletcher is that I think he misunderstands what religion is because of the time he's in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like because I don't think he sees what the true religion is that runs his society.
Yeah, and
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Does he not see? Well,
because it might be
the
like
beginning to the end.
Well, the whole point of this book is to promote agrarianism and critique industrialism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think maybe like what he's failing to see is that industrialism is the religion that is undergirding the society, or it's the one that's on the rise, right?
Yeah. And just wait till we get to the religion essay, because that one is all kinds of convoluted and ridiculous.
That'll be
But yeah,
good.
and
That sounds like fun.
yeah, Father Nikolai is coming on for that one.
Yes, correct.
That'll be great.
Yeah,
that
I'm
one should be
really looking forward to that one.
Cool.
But yeah, I definitely agree. I don't know. That's a really complicated topic, I think. Because I do agree that there's a certain standard of orthodoxy that must be accepted, and like the viral Charlie Kirk clip that goes around when some college student asked him about America having religious freedom, and he goes through and lists all of the colonies' state constitutions for the religion that was required to run for public office. Each of the colonies in early America required religious orthodoxy, lowercase o, with the exception of New York and Virginia. And I believe it was 1929 was the last case of someone being arrested for blasphemy, and that was actually in New York City. I believe it was 1929, but I could be wrong on that number. But yeah, he's definitely coming from a context that everyone is Christian. And I think that one of the better examples we see of like what he's talking about here is in 2023 or 2024, the Southern Baptist Convention refused to make a official announcement on the Nicene Creed as being a dogmatic like necessity of the faith. And they were basically decried by every other Protestant denomination. Like every other faithful denomination was like, no, like you need the Nicene Creed to be Christian.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the context he's coming from is like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and not enforce Anglicanism over like Scotch Presbyterianism.
Yeah.
But also like if a Muslim comes to town, we're probably going to lynch him. I do think that's like, and this is kind of the same thing that Jefferson talks about in the notes on the state of Virginia when he talks about religious freedom. And he talks about how, okay, fine, you can believe in however many gods you want to or no God. But guess what? When you go to be like on trial, nobody's going to believe you in anything you say because you're so fucking wrong religiously. And that's like the whole point. He's like, social pressure is going to maintain orthodoxy rather than the government maintaining orthodoxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a bad way to say it.
So yeah,
One
that's,
thing
I think that's the context.
Yeah.
Well, but then on the other hand, though, like if the government isn't maintaining, whatever you want to call small o orthodoxy, it's like, isn't it just something else that the government is maintaining in that case?
Yeah.
Like it's just some other thing.
Yeah. Well,
right. It's probably worse because it's some other thing that's kind of nebulous and we can't even name.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to add it. I'd like to add this, and then I'm going to actually take my leave. Perhaps I really like what you guys said about how industrialism is the religion.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sins of industrialism is blasphemy. Not being blasphemous, but accusing or considering blasphemy a sin.
Yeah.
Because I can't sell you something if I think you're a blasphemer,
Yep.
right? Maximum welcoming, maximum number of customers, right? I can't make money if I won't sell to certain people.
That's
It's
a
probably
really
it's probably a major driver. We
yeah,
can't, can't do this because then they won't buy our cars, guys. Because God is no longer the thing. Now it's this machine, industrial, commercial thing. So anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on, Phisto.
Yeah, guys. I got to bail, but it's late here, and I'm an old man, and I got to go to bed.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming on. John, do you have anything else you want to say about the essay, or are you good with calling it now?
No, I think we made it basically through all of it.
Cool.
Everything that was
Awesome.
important.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again for coming on. Is there anything
My
you want
pleasure.
to tell the people about you and where to find you and your stuff before you
yeah.
head
Thank
out?
you. So there's two places. If you like my shenanigans, there's two ways to consume Phisto content. Straight to the face. My Substack is The Partisan. I often write about my experiences in the classroom. I also have two other buddies, another John, who is writing soon to publish more things about energy and markets and kind of taking sort of a Doombergy approach to things. So that should be fun. And then my buddy Isaiah, we've been friends for a long, long time. He's got a series on racing, of all things, that he's going to be publishing pretty soon. So those are going to be a little bit different. But yeah, it's usually just whatever the heck I feel like saying. And then, of course, we've got the Black Ibis Social Club with Alexander Constantine, the greatest podcast in Substack history, where we talk about
better than this
everything.
one for sure.
I don't know about that. You guys are certainly more handsome than we are, so that's you've got that in your favor. But yeah, guys, check that stuff out. It's a lot of fun. I love being on Substack. I love doing these kinds of things, and just personally, I want to say I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I really, really like what you're doing here, because I am learning things, and I live in Florida, so I have to learn the things you guys are talking about because it's 100,000% relevant to my life. So I appreciate it.
Man. If you ever want to come back on, let us know.
You got it.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
All right, boys. I'll talk to you later.
All
Yep,
right,
sounds
later, man.
good.
All right, see you guys.
See you later. So next time we will be talking about the next essay in the book, A Critique of the Philosophy of Progress by Lyle H. Lanier. That'll be in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So stick
And
around for that.
Frank Kidd is coming on for that one.
Yep. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll have to look at the calendar and see what day we have that actually scheduled for. But yeah, keep an eye on Substack because, we always end up rescheduling these anyway. I think we've had one episode on at 11 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah. As of right now, it should be. It looks like August 1st, actually. August 1st at 11 o'clock looks like what it should be.
Yeah.
But we'll have to talk to Frank and figure out.
We'll talk to him and figure that out. And then the next one after that is going to be Father Nikolai, who is I'm really excited to have on because he's my spiritual father, and he's like the first non-Substackistan guest we'll have on. So I'm really looking forward to that and talking about some religion. Yeah, I think that's it. You have anything else?
Nope, I think that's about it. That was a great episode.
All right, cool. We'll see you next time.
All right, later, y'all. Bye.